Mike Pennacchi with Network Protocol Specialist, LLC. And in this tech tip, we're going to look at how to use TCP Traceroute. Now, normal Traceroute uses ICMP and maybe UDP to trace a path through the network. In this case, this is going to send a TCP SYN and follow its path through the network. This is a great way to make sure that firewall rules are working as you expect, and if a packet's getting blocked somewhere or dropped, we can see where that is. So I hope this tech tip is useful in helping you troubleshoot problems with connectivity on your network. All right, so let's take a look at how we can use TCP Traceroute to validate our firewall rules. Now in this case, I'm using an Ubuntu Linux box. This is a fanless PC I put together and loaded Ubuntu on, and I found that there are a lot of tools within Linux that I can use for doing network troubleshooting that just aren't available in Windows. So the first thing I'm going to do is come in here and validate I have TCP Traceroute installed. So I'm going to type in sudo apt get install TCP Traceroute. I'll hit enter. And it comes back and it tells me that I already have the newest version installed, so I'll go ahead and hit no right there. So now what I want to do is I want to use TCP Traceroute to trace a route to my email server using TCP port 25. So I'm going to say TCP Traceroute secure.email srvr.com and I'm going to put in port 25 and I'll hit enter. Now this works a lot like regular Traceroute, where it is sending out packets with increasingly long time to lives in the IP header. And when it reaches a router and the time to live expires, the router sends back a time to live expired in transit. Now here we see that we passed through Comcast, we got out there to NTT, and we make it all the way out here to secure.email server, and it says that port is open. So that lets us know that our TCP SYN, which is what TCP Traceroute uses, was able to make it all the way to that server, and that port was open. Now, I want to block port 25 in this case. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my firewall, and I'm going to enable my firewall rule that blocks port 25. So let's try this again. So we're going to clear the screen, we're going to hit our up arrow, and let's run that TCP Traceroute again. So I hit enter. So we see we get a response from our default router right here, 10.0.11.1. But after that, we're getting asterisks. This tells us that we are not getting responses beyond this point. Our router is blocking port 25. Now typically what we're going to see is that right here, the last router to respond to us is either the router right before the firewall that's doing the blocking, or it's the firewall itself. So even if you're having a hard time getting through and connecting to a device, and maybe you didn't intentionally put a rule in, this is a great way to see if that's being blocked. Now I'm going to hit Control-C, and we're going to come in here, and the other port that I use for my email is I use port 993 and 465 for SMTPS and IMAPS-S. I want to make sure those are still getting through. So I'm going to put in 993 and hit enter, and there we go. That's getting through. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit Control-C, and we're going to try 465. And there we go. See how easy it is to go in and validate that those ports are either making it or open all the way through, or they're being blocked somewhere along the way. And if they are being blocked, now we can see where they're being blocked. So don't use the S word, that should, and validate using things like TCP Traceroute. So thanks for watching this tech tip, and be sure to check out our other tech tips on helping you go in and troubleshoot network problems, use Wireshark better, and get to the root of issues on your network.